Hey guys, welcome back to the GOLANG video chat project application. And like I said, I'll be giving more time to this series. So I'm back here with a new video. Now in my main.go file, I realized that run function is having an issue. And the run function exists in the server file, in the server.go file. And that's when I saw that there's a small semicolon, closing double quotation missing, and this fixes my entire file. Now I'm new to this theme, so I didn't realize that it was missing, so this is why the color of the entire thing was off. That's on me, guys, that's on me. Anyhow, but now everything should work, hopefully. Yeah, so main.go file doesn't give us any errors now. Okay, so next thing on my agenda is we need to create some functions in the peers.go file. So now, so that I don't end up wasting your time, I always these days, before I start any video, I have a clear agenda on what all I'll cover in this particular video. Okay, so in this video, I want to show you that there will be some functions in the WebRTC peers.go file. Okay, and this function that I'm talking about is basically one that we have already talked about. It's the dispatch keyframe function, this one. Dispatch keyframe, because we call that function from peers, right? So I'm going sequentially because now we're calling this function, so I want to talk about that function. At least I want to create the outline of that function so that everything makes sense. So this function is going to have access to peers. It's going to be a method, not just a function. It's going to be called dispatch keyframe. Okay, this is what's going to be called. Now, peers, right? Peers itself needs to be a struct. If we want to have a struct method, it's only common sense that it needs to have a struct for that struct method. So the struct looks something like this. So we have a struct called peers, but before that we'll have a struct for rooms also. Since I'm making peers, so why not make room struct? So room struct is going to basically have peers, right? Which is this peers. And peers is going to have something called as a list log, which we get access to from our sync.readWrite mutex. And then we have connections, which is just a slice of peer connection state. And then we have track locals, which is a map of string, and with WebRTC dot track local static RTB. Okay, this obviously means that we need access to the WebRTC package. And as a side note, or as a side I don't want to call it homework, but as a side, as an exercise, you can check this out. You can check out what this does. Track local static RTB. Okay. And if you're not able to understand it, not a problem. I'll explain it in the next video anyways. So, but just as a, as a developing a new habit and trying to understand things, how they work, just try to read about this in the WebRTC package. All right. So here in my room, what I have peers, which is taking a reference from peers, which I just created, and there will be a hub. Hub will be my chat hub. Now when I say chat.hub, I need to have it here, right? So that if you notice, I already have a file called hub.go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the hub. I'll have to define the hub here. So now that we're talking about it, why don't we actually define the hub? So let me save this file, right? So I'm just going sequentially. So whenever something comes up, I kind of start explaining that to you. So this is going to be of type package chat, because they're both in the chat folder. So they'll be of package chat. And hub is a struct. Struct will have clients, will have broadcast. It is a channel, but it's not struct. It is slice of bytes, and clients is a map start client and boolean. We'll have to define client as well. And then we have registered and unregistered. Now registered and unregistered we tackled in the GOLANG and React full stack chat application as well. We tackled this. Register is when somebody registers onto the room, you can say, and unregistered is when somebody closes off their window. So I demonstrated there that if somebody closes off their window, it basically says user has unregistered, and when somebody open up a new browser or open up a new window or whatever, the user, it's considered as a new user who has registered. This is how WebSockets work. And you have client, and then you have unregistered also is a channel type client. And this is the exact same method, or I won't say method, but exact same procedure that we followed there as well in the React and GOLANG project, React chat project. We had a register channel and we had an unregistered channel where we basically output the client who has registered or unregistered. Okay. Now, when I say client, right, and I'm able to access client without referring to any other package, that means that client obviously belongs to this chat package only. That's why I'm able to access it, right? In the sense it has to belong to this package. And I have only one other file, which is client.go. And that's the file where I need to keep my client struct. So I'll have to call it package chat, because both of these files exist in this folder called chat, which is the package. I'll have an import statement here. And here is where I will create my client. The struct is going to have hub. Okay. Hub is something we just talked about. Client is going to have a hub. Going to have connection, which is of type WebSocket dot connection. Then we have send, which is channel, which is a channel, and it's a slice bytes is what you'll send on the channel. Now I need 3 functions here. Okay. I need 3 functions here, but before that, what I need to do is I need to have a few constants. So for writing, so these are just best practices. You can completely skip these in your project. If you don't want to include these, it's completely all right. I'm doing it because like a best practice that you want to have a write waiting, to write. You want to have a pong wait. For how long will you wait for the pong? When you ping, how long will you wait for the pong? Then you have the ping period, and then what do you want to have as the max message size, right? So these things, like I said, are not compulsory. These are just best practices. Even if you don't define it, it's completely all right. You can have a fully functional project without defining these. And the times that I'm selecting here, write, wait, and pong wait, all of those are the standard times that you would want. But you can feel free to change it depending on whatever is your requirement. And max message size, I'll just keep it to 512. All right. Now it was able to get the Go Fiber WebSocket package for me. And this is not the one that I want. I want the fast HTTP WebSocket package. It's a fast HTTP WebSocket package. HTTP. Yeah. Now, in case you haven't realized, this is a huge problem, right? When I saved it, it could, by mistake, get another package for me, and that would lead to problems later on because I'm not going to use the functions from that particular package, right? I'm using the functions from fast HTTP package, and that's a big problem. And this is why I am kind of against extensions. As you just saw what it did, And if you're not aware and you're just going quick, you think it saves you time, but not really. It doesn't really save you time, because it can, lead to these kind of side effects. And I need a couple of functions here. I've not explained these to you, but don't worry, because we'll talk about these in the future. I'm just creating like a quick outline only. I need a read pump and I need a write pump. Okay. Then I also need a peer chat connection function. Okay. So that's at least the outline of your client.go file. In my internal folder, there's a handlers folder and there's a room file that we had worked on earlier. So let me close off all the other files. And you want to work on this room.go file. So out here, there's a small issue here. It's not GGUID, it's GUUID, which reflects the Google UUID. And there's a small typo that I made by mistake. And here, there's a function called create or get room. Okay, so you'd either create a new room, or you'll get one of the rooms that already exists. So this will have the logic for that. We'll work on that logic. There'll be another function for room viewer WebSocket, which will take in WebSocket.connection. And we'll have another function called room viewer connection, which will take in C, which is WebSocket connection. We'll take in P, which is your peers that we were just working on. And most importantly, the most important part of this file is you want to define what a WebSocket message looks like. So all the messages that are moving around between the WebSockets or the chat messages, what do they look like? This is what they look like. They're basically a struct. They have an event and they'll have some data along with the event. So event is string, data is string again. For an event, you'll have JSON event. For your data, you'll have JSON data. All right. Now this is something that we'll be using in many places, so that's why it was important for us to create the WebSocket message. In the room WebSocket, we created a UUID, right, which we got from c.params.uuid. And if UUID was empty, then you just want to return from there. And most importantly, you want to call this function create or get room, which is this function, with that UUID. And then you want to call the room connection function. Now what is W out here? We have not defined that. So W is nothing but your video chat, which is this particular project that we're working in, video chat. And it's going to have package/webrtc. So we're just talking about the WebRTC package. And the WebRTC package, the whole package, we're going to be referring as W. And this is why I was writing w.peers, because WebRTC package has peers.go, and our peers, which is a struct also. So that's what we can refer with the help of W. Now in the create or get room function, we can we accept UUID and we return string and we return room. Now room is again of type w.room. So room we have defined here in WebRTC Oh, we've not defined here, sorry. So let's do that actually. Let's define room.go. No, we have. I just did it actually somewhere in one of these files. Oh, sorry. Yeah, out here we have defined room. Yeah, because I remember creating room struct, and so the struct. All of the structs can be in any of the files. I've decided to keep them in peers, but it could be in room, could be in stream. Doesn't matter because all of them will belong to the same package anyway. Now, since we are in the room.go file, let's also call this as package webrtc. It's obviously going to have its own import related stuff, and the most important thing is the room connection function out here. So we just talked about the room connection function some time back. This one, the room connection function. So we're calling this function, but we haven't created it, right? So let's create that function, or let's at least create the outline of this function. So right now we are still in the early stages. That's why I'm not going into the actual logic of any of these functions. I'm just creating the outlines because we're still in the nascent stages. Here you'll say WebSocket.connection again, and takes in peers. And firstly, we'll define a variable called config. So type webrtc.configuration, and here, most importantly, we want to create something called as a peer connection state. So there's going to be some logic here, but we're going to create a new peer after a while, after writing some of that logic here, and we'll have peer connection state. Peer connection state is going to have peer connection, so type peer connection, and it's going to have WebSocket, which will be thread safe. Right now, it's possible that you don't know about how these thread safe writers and what all these things mean, and it's completely all right because I will cover that in the next videos anyways. Sync mutex. So we'll have to import the sync package as well. And peer connection is something which is basically webrtc.new peer connection, and you pass config in it. Error is not equal to nil. You will print out the error and you will return. All right. So for this video, this is where we'll end, and we'll continue in the next videos. But we're still in the early stages. We're still creating the outlines of the functions. We're just creating the bare bones, and we're just trying to still make sense of how to tackle this entire project. We're going to be working with a lot of things, right? But I'm sure you've started to understand at least some of the things that, we'll have something called as chat, something called as room, we'll have streaming, and you've also obviously understood about this file, welcome.co. What it does, it just basically creates, shows you the main file. Then we've understood a little bit about what server file is doing, right? So still we're in the preliminary stages. You're getting to understand what's happening here, but still we have a lot of understanding to do. And we are also understanding the links between all the functions. So all of these routes have these functions that we have to create, and all of these functions also call some other functions. And so that's the route that I'm following to show you basically that you have to create these structs, you have to create some functions, but the actual logic of the functions we'll have to start writing from the next, or maybe the next video. If you haven't subscribed already, do subscribe. I'll be coming up with more big and complex projects like this, and you will really enjoy. It'll be worthwhile for you to subscribe. Share this with your friends, anybody who's looking to upskill their knowledge in GOLANG. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.